that I've seen people fall into these traps. Delinquent taxes. If you'll pick up a paper and go to the sections in the back now, you will see there's all kinds of lawsuits, foreclosures being made against people's homes for $500, for $600, for $1,000, for $2,000 on delinquent taxes. Your tax bill, when you get it, let's just take an arbitrary figure. Let's say it's $1,000. And if you pay it off early, you may get to $800. Pay it, pay it, pay it. If you have to go borrow the money, pay that tax bill. And let me tell you why it is so important to pay that tax bill. It is the one thing you can't put off. You can't put off taxes and you can't put off death, remember? That's the rule. That tax bill, if you don't pay it, within a couple of years, will be thousands of dollars. By the time it gets sold and everything is tacked on there, by the time they pay the 12% interest is taxed onto it, by the time the attorney fees are tacked onto it. If they go to foreclosure, the commissioner's fees, the court costs, and everything is tacked onto it. And that little old $1,000 bill, or $800 if you'd have paid it early, now becomes several $1,000s within a matter of a little over a year, 2 years at most. It's not just doubled; it's going to be triple or 4 times. And you're not now. If you don't pay it, they'll take your property. There is no escaping that tax bill. That's why I'm saying to you, don't let it become delinquent. Get the money, sell the property if you have to get the money to pay the tax bill. At least you're not letting it go into foreclosure. But do not let yourself get caught into that trap. You understand?
You're talking about a $100,000 piece of property you might lose over a $800 bill.
You may, right, and they'll take it.
Yeah.
They'll put it at public auctions, what they'll do on you. And it's happening now. All these outside companies that came in and bought these delinquent tax tickets, they're now in the foreclosure mode. They are foreclosing time after time after time. Pay your taxes. And a lot of you are saying, well, I pay my taxes. People get hard up. Desperate people do desperate things, as I've said on this show many times. But that's the one thing you can't let go. You have to pay that delinquent property tax bill. Before it gets delinquent, hopefully, but you have to pay that bill. Now, we were going to talk, I think, tonight a little bit about the Declaration of Independence, because it won't be long till we're having elections, and it's always good to know how it got to the point to where we can have elections, right? Important. So let's go to the computer. Oh, there's the number finally. I'm at the office right now, folks. Make sure you got your underinsurance that protects you and your family, if you can afford it. Declaration of Independence, what is it? Let's go back in history. 1776 is when it was signed by a group of men who determined that this nation should be an independent nation. The king didn't like it, so he decided he was going to make them stay with him. The war ended in 1787. They fought for 11 years, those men did, so that we could have the right to go vote, and to have the right to be free, and the right to have a democracy. Now think about that. I mean, it's awesome when you think about it. The interesting thing about this Declaration of Independence that I wanted to talk to you folks about is it was the foundation was on moral principles. It wasn't on law or anything else. It was strictly on moral, what is right and wrong. Now, what do I mean by that? When you look at it's fascinating when you look at this thing. I read it the other day in its entirety. They call them the cardinal moral truths, is what they set it up in. And so you'll know what those are. I want to tell you. The first one is that all men are created equal. Moral truth, right?
Right.
That they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed.
You know,
Okay.
Gary, let's take a quick second here. All of these thoughts, you know, these men, I've asked you before, man, they were so smart. And you said, Keith, it was because of persecution and experience
They learned.
that they become
They
smart.
learned the hard way. I think about what you just saw here. That is the whole basis for the Declaration of Independence. Now, what did these men mean by this? They meant that when you're born, you have as many rights as any other person that's ever been born or ever will be born. Those rights were created by God, not by man, not by government. There are certain rights you have, or you ought to have. Now, then you have governments. Well, government's only purpose that government should ever serve is to secure those rights with your consent as the person or the people that's being governed. That's your whole premise of the Declaration of Independence. And when you think about it, it is awesome because they're saying, okay, we've got government, and let's give the government some power, but let's retain all the other power in the people. And therein came why, when they actually did the Constitution, that they fixed it so that nobody but a jury in this nation can put you in jail. Now we've got away from that a lot in this nation. Think about it. The people are the only ones that can put people in jail because the government was not given that right under the Constitution. I think it's fascinating.
Now,
It's just
because of the persecution, these men, and at these times, would have protected the jury with all cost.
They did with their lives.
Nowadays, we've gotten a little bit laxed and maybe not so protective.
We're real lax nowadays. Okay.
Well, maybe that's going to be on the next program. My friend, we're out of time, believe it or not. Thank you so much to Gary. Thanks to you for tuning in to Simply the Law. I hope that you'll join us again next Tuesday night, right here at 7 o'clock on Simply the Law with Gary C. Johnson.